Hello, 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 and welcome to Fantasy Football Scout and our World Cup coverage. As always, you're joined by me, Andy, FPL Mode, and we are also joined by somebody I don't think I've ever streamed with, and I'm absolutely delighted to have him with me today. Chai, how is it going, my man?
All good, Andy. Great to be on with you. I mean, I'm looking forward to it too. It's been a long time coming. I feel like, I've always popped into Scoutcast when you've been on it. And now my two worlds are colliding, but not in FPL. World Cup this time around. I'm actually really looking forward to it.
Oh, mate, I literally can't wait. As soon as the game launched, because we only had 3 or 4 days after FPL finished, and I spent the first day thinking, this is lovely, bit of peace, don't have to think about teams. And then the second day I was like, no, I want a game. I want to get back in the fantasy swing of it. And obviously it's now arrived. How many fantasy games for like Euros and World Cups and stuff have you played? Are you pretty au fait with it, or is this your first dip into the water?
You know what? I played the Euros one last year. There was a nice little forfeit going in a group chat, so it kept me engaged. But prior to that, like I didn't play the Club World Cup Fantasy course FPL. We have 8 or 9 years underneath my belt now, which is decent. But no, I've not really been too interested other than the Euros. And I think this time around, because it's the World Cup, it's massive, and I absolutely love the World Cup. I feel like it's a different atmosphere going
Oh,
into the
big
World
time.
Cup. So I'm looking forward to playing a fantasy version.
Yeah, and it's great. I think they've done quite a good job with the app and the game itself in terms of the player prices. I think they've done quite a good job with the chips and the rules. For anybody that doesn't know the rules, make sure you have a look at Scout's articles because there's some really good roundups of the new rules and things that you might not have played. There's obviously no DEFCON, which some people are happy with, some people aren't happy about. There's rules that say that if you get a player that is under 5% owned by deadline and they get more than 4 points, you get 2 extra points. So you get extra points if your players are low owned. There's points for free kick goals. There's points for chances created, for shots on target. So many different rules. But one thing I will say is that it looks like it's rewarding you for picking attacking players, which in a World Cup and a small tournament where it's only a month long, I think that's going to make it quite fun, isn't it?
Oh no, absolutely. And this time around, because we have so much to choose from, whether it's the absolute veterans like Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, etc. Hopefully he's available. Yeah, some massive names, and Harry Kane, which we'll be definitely covering today as a Spurs fan.
Oh God, as a Spurs fan, we definitely will, because I'm glad he left you to go on to win some trophies and stuff. I was very, very pleased for him. But no, it's going to be great. And obviously today we're going to be talking about a team very close to our hearts in England, and we're going to be talking about their team, their expected lineup. We're going to be talking about the defenders, the midfielders, the forwards as well, one forward in particular. We're going to be talking about rotation. Are there any players that we're worried about in terms of reduced minutes, or any players we think could miss the odd game? We're going to be talking about a rising star, whether that's in the starting 11 or somebody that we think could grow into the tournament. We're also going to be looking at their fixtures, because I would say they don't have a hard group for per se, but they do maybe have a trickier match day one. And then we're going to be looking at Chai's top 3 picks from the England squad as well. But before we even get on to looking at individuals, mate, let's have a chat about how we think England are going to do in this tournament, because they've been the nearly team for quite a few tournaments now, whether that's the Euros or the World Cup. Obviously, they've got a new manager for this tournament now in Tuchel. Southgate maybe had a bit of criticism before for being quite defensive, playing a lot of central defenders in as many positions as possible. But he got the results in terms of getting to those finals all the time. And to be fair, there was only a few little things that happened that meant that he didn't actually walk away with quite a few trophies. So what is your expectation on England in this tournament?
Yeah, I was saying this to you, Andy, before we hopped on. Being Irish, I'm going to come from a
Yeah?
different perspective to a lot of the English folk who play FPL in general. But yeah, no, I'm actually also quite bullish on England. And this time around, it comes in a lot of different ways. Tommy Tuchel, I think, is a phenomenal manager. I really, really like him, and I think you probably couldn't get anyone better in a tournament like this. For me, I think Southgate's time was a little bit underrated. I think he done well, like you said, getting to you know, good periods of tournaments, but obviously couldn't get over the line. And for a period of England, kind of reminded me of Spurs, just quite decent, but never getting over
What?
the line. And now, now Harry Kane is leading the line, winning trophies, like you said. But yeah, Harry Kane for me is another massive one. Like I think I've said for quite a while he's been the best player on planet Earth. I actually stand by that and double down right now. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, some of the attributes he has, and a lot of people criticize him on international duty. Even he was playing centre back at points, I'm sure, Andy. But I think this time with the confidence, winning the league and having a phenomenal season, I think the combination of him and Tuchel can get him over the line.
Yeah, I was talking to Gianni during the Brazil stream, and we said about just how important at international level, especially in a tournament, having that manager that is elite makes such a massive difference. And obviously we were talking about Carlo Ancelotti. You'd argue that he is the best manager in this tournament, but Tuchel must be up there. And I think his nous and his ability to keep the team together and to get results when needed is going to be a big difference in this tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely agree. And again, like I said, even in Champions League getting over the line, Tuchel, his record there is phenomenal. I think it's definitely a phenomenal attribute to have for England going forward.
If you had to say now, if you had to stick your neck on the line and say, this is where I think England are going to get to in this World Cup, where would you say? Would you think they're going to make it all the way to the final? You don't have to say they're going to win, but for instance, are we going to be picking England players in our fantasy teams all the way up until the end?
I think we're absolutely going to be picking England players throughout fantasy. I think for sure. For me, I am conflicted being Irish, like I said. Part of me does go, of course I don't want you to win it. But again, half of me does really want to see Harry Kane to do well. Again, being a Tottenham fan, I actually really hope Harry does win something big like that. And if he does win the World Cup, for example, he's well on for the Ballon d'Or. And as a football fan, I wouldn't be, upset about that. But if I were to predict and say where they're going to get to, I'm going to say at least the semi-final. I don't think they're going to win it. Yeah. I think if you had the likes of Saka, who wasn't injured throughout the season, Cole Palmer was not in the squad, was on top of his game. Younger players like Rodgers coming through, Elliot Anderson, who are phenomenal players for sure. But I feel like if you had world-class talent, Saka on his day when he's fully on form, then I'd be way more bullish on England. But you look at the likes of France and Spain, who just have the likes of Elise, Mbappe, Ousmane Dembele, and Spain, of course, with Yamal. It's a different caliber other than outside of Kane.
Yeah, I do agree with you. And I mean, if things go well for us in the group and they go well for Brazil in the group, it's looking like quarterfinals against Brazil. And I think that's tough. I mean, if England obviously managed to get it through there, one thing you will say about Southgate is he tended to have fairly easy routes all the way through, whereas it looks like in this World Cup, with the way that there's so many lower ranked teams in these groups, you would be shocked to see any upsets. So it's going to be a tough route through, isn't it?
Yeah, and the thing with that is if England's games aren't exactly difficult, I think we touched on this earlier, but if they do plough through those games, the momentum they'll carry because they're not necessarily run over games, well, I think it could do them well.
Yeah, I think so as well. I always think teams that grow into a tournament are always the ones you want to look at. The ones that start strong aren't necessarily the ones that do well. I mean, Spain have Cape Verde for the first game, and that could be anything. But I remember when Spain won the Euros, when they lost 1-0 to Switzerland first game, and it's like those teams that grow into it tend to be the ones that do well. But we'll see. Shall we have a little bit of a look at this England team that we expect to play? Because we're going to start with the defence and the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper, we've got absolutely no doubt who that's going to be. So obviously Pickford in goal, 4.8 million, and he is currently almost 16% owned, which is quite high for a keeper in this game. Then, when we look across the back line, we've got various degrees of ownership. So, James is 5.2 million. We're expecting him to start at right back, 4.4%. Whether he's still fit for the first game, we'll have to wait and see. Concert is also in there, 4.8 million, 1.1% owned. Then we've got Gahey. These are the two that are more highly owned. Gahey at 5.1 million, 10%. And then O'Reilly, 4.7 million at 17.4%. Now, really interesting, I would say here, that James, who I would say is at risk of missing minutes as the tournament goes on, is the most expensive defender here at 5.2. Gahey's cheaper than him at 5.1. Let's talk about James a bit first, because on his day, I've argued this for years, he's one of the best footballers in the Premier League. But it's whether he can stay fit. And is him playing every 5-6 days really going to be something we're expecting to see in this tournament?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting player to touch on. And I think if we're playing FPL, we'd be going absolutely nowhere near him. But yeah, no, we've often compared James to like that mix of Walker and Trent, where he's just
Yeah.
he has it all really, and shame for the injuries because he would be, I would say, the best right back in the league. But yeah, an interesting point that you made is that he comes in as the most expensive England defender. For me, I don't think I'd personally be going there unless we really start to fancy England and we're seeing solid minutes by James. Again, we will have friendlies, a game against New Zealand and Costa Rica to look at before we fully start to lock in our teams. But for now, I think I'm happy to see what happens with James. And I think there's definitely an opportunity if he stays under 5% to potentially become a good option.
Yeah, I mean, imagine he plays in the friendlies and he starts both games, maybe goes off 45, 60, whatever it is to protect him. If there's reason to believe that he is going to be the starting right back, and with his potential and with the fact that centre-backs, there's no DEFCON in this, so it's all about those attack and returns from the defenders and clean sheets, which England have historically been quite defensive, so it might be a good pick to go with. If we get an indication that James might be starting all those group games, he does seem like a good shout, doesn't he?
Yeah, and like his delivery on crosses, I think, with Harry Kane up top, I mean, a decent header of the ball, it's definitely appealing.
Yeah, big time. If we move on to the centre-backs there, so Konsa and Gahey, I've seen people making their predicted 11s, and they've got Stones in there. Obviously, Stones was brought up ahead of Maguire. Stones, I don't think, reached 1,000 minutes for City this year, but he got the call up instead of Maguire. I'm seeing Stones in a lot of teams instead of Konsa, but every time I've obviously watched England play, it's always been Konsa and Gahey. Do you have any worry with those two that it is going to be Stones that gets the nod in the end, or do you think those two are pretty cemented in?
I think Konsa is a great footballer. I think he's actually severely underrated in the league personally. And I would be surprised if Stones was ahead of Konsa. I can understand that, because Stones has been around maybe a bit longer. And of course, he does have that experience as well. But I think it will be Konsa and Gahey. And looking at Konsa's ownership, 1.1%, with the 2% or 2 extra points for under 5% ownership, I mean, for 4.5, is it?
4.8.
I think 4.8, sorry. That's really appealing. I didn't realise he was that low owned. I thought he'd get some England inflation tax.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I'm guessing it is because Stones is there that people think that maybe Stones will play. But if you had to pick between the two, Gahey at 10% owned, Konsa at 1.1%, how much in your eyes would the scouting bonus come in then? Like, would you save yourself 0.3, have the opportunity of getting those extra 2 points? Is that too hard to turn down going Konsa instead of Gahey?
Yeah, absolutely. I would think I would go Konsa. I would take on the risk. I mean, we'll have to see again. We've a lot to learn, but and whether or not you want to go with the England guys to start match day 1, 2, or 3 is definitely another conversation to have. But I think for what it's worth, Konsa is definitely a decent option.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think for 4.8 million, you've got to obviously consider him. I was going to ask you as well, because the Premier League has been so set piece orientated this year. Obviously, Declan Rice didn't help with that, and the Arsenal team didn't help with that. But obviously, Declan Rice is now an incredibly good weapon from set pieces that England can use. Is it which one would you pick out, Konsa and Gahey, that's going to benefit from that? Because obviously we've seen him whipping them into Gabriel. Gabriel's just made a mockery of a lot of what we know in terms of set pieces. Konsa and Gahey, do you think either of those can benefit from it?
Yeah, Gahey for sure. He's a bit of an animal. I think he got a few assists there from nodding him on for Palace before he joined City.
Yeah.
He's definitely... it's hard to say because in a tournament like this, maybe everyone has learned from what the Prem is doing. International managers are trying to get the edge, of course, and it's going to be interesting to see if they implement those sort of dark arts tactics in my eyes. I don't like it, and of course Arsenal, the ones to implement it. But yeah, even Elliot Anderson, he's a phenomenal delivery as well. So yeah,
can you imagine?
Consider as well.
Can you imagine if we're sat there watching Brazil doing long throws? I don't know what
I won't be surprised. Gabriel's probably the best header of
exactly.
Of the ball.
And Casemiro. They got Casemiro there as well. It's going to be horrendous. I mean, one player that does like getting on the end of deliveries, he is ridiculously tall and he won Young Player of the Year in the Premier League, is O'Reilly. And I mean, he's actually 17% owned, which is a lot more than I thought he would be. But I think because he was so popular in FPL, and maybe a lot of the FPL managers have already come over to this website and made their teams, O'Reilly has proven very popular. 4.7 million, so he's the cheapest across his whole back line. But the upside is there, isn't it? Look at what he did this year. He's a goal scorer. He's tall. He gets on the end of crosses. He's got to be a consideration in our teams, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyone who's played FPL has seen how Pep has utilised them, and I think anyone who's not watched the Prem this season is definitely trouble. Tuchel is going to look forward to using him for sure. I'm interested to see how Tuchel uses him. You know, we've seen Pep quite often have him centrally and always in and around the box. I'd be interested to see if he's going to pick up the same positions in this England team, and if he is, I think for that price, it's definitely appealing to me.
Yeah, I do agree. I'm interested, like you said, to see how Tuchel uses him, because there's every chance that when he goes forward, Gahey, Konsa and James just make a bit of a back three, and then O'Reilly can get forward a bit more. But yeah, as we've said, he is so ridiculously good in the air as well. I think he's an absolute weapon for us to be able to use. And with him being the cheapest, I mean, if you had to look at that back five, Pickford there as well, who is always popular. Who would be your pick out of those ones in terms of if I wanted to go with one, which one would you go with?
Yeah, it would be O'Reilly. I just want to touch on Pickford quickly. Again, this is non-World Cup related. What do you make of Pickford? Underrated or overrated? And happy to have him as your England keeper.
I think he's underrated. I think he's ridiculously good. Yeah, genuinely. He's always good for Everton every year. I know he's got slightly shorter arms and everybody makes the T-Rex jokes. And I think he's underrated. I genuinely do. Well, to be fair, probably maybe not underrated. Maybe he's just rated as he should be. But I think he's brilliant. He's never done anything wrong for England, to be perfectly honest. And when you think we've had years where we've had to put up with Chris Kirkland and Rob Green, I think Pickford is absolutely fine. So no, I like him.
No, that's fair, and he's of course a commander as well. You hear him before you see him. I'm interested to see what you think about Pickford, because we often see theatrical saves from him, and people are going, "Oh, that's an overrated save," and I think he's well rated.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I do. I like him. I think he's all right. I mean, when we look at the fixtures, by the way, Croatia first game, then we got Ghana, and then it's Panama in the last game. How many clean sheets are you expecting in this one? Considering England have been known as being quite a defensive team, how many clean sheets do you expect?
I'm gonna say 2. I definitely think England can get 2. I know I had the odds up. I actually have them here in front of me. 41% in the first game, 51 in the second, and 53 in the third. I mean, the odds are definitely for England to get a clean sheet or 2, and I think looking at the defence, it actually doesn't instill me with too much confidence, even though they're all players I do rate individually. How they play together is going to be another thing, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 clean sheets.
Do you think there's any merit in holding off on an England defender until match day 2? So, because the Croatia one is the trickiest one, you would say, although you said it's still around 40% chance of a clean sheet. Do you think there's any, hold off, maybe invest if we've seen James start, then invest in someone like him? O'Reilly, I mean, there's no real competition for O'Reilly. I think it's only Dan Burn, because Lewis Hall didn't even come, did he? So I don't think there's any real competition there. But do you think there's merit to holding off for 1 week?
Yeah, I think definitely, especially when you consider some of the other teams with really good first fixtures, whether it's Germany or Spain. They're nearly up on 70% clean sheet odds, which is not something we've seen in our old fantasy game. They're making Arsenal look bad there. But no, definitely a consideration. I think going into that first game though, what you do get with that Croatia game is it's the first game. Neither team want to lose. I think it's something you see probably similar to when Arsenal play against Liverpool. It's a very tight and cagey game, and often a 1-0 or 1-1. So maybe that's the thing that England might have going for them, and especially England, the pressure is on. Tuchel knows the expectations. Croatia probably not as good, with Modric getting on, and more elder players like Ivan Perisic, for example, but it's definitely not the worst of fixtures.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think people were remembering Croatia from when they got to the final, didn't they, against France, and they lost, obviously. I think people are maybe remembering that Croatia. Modric now has finally started looking like he's aging. Took him a very long time, but he's finally looking like he's aging. And I do think maybe they're an easier opposition to what we thought. But I suppose with it being the first game, like you said, the nerves might be out a bit. And England, unfortunately, through the years, have let nerves get to them. So I do agree there. But shall we go on to the midfield? Because what I've seen doing these streams is that there's a very, very heavy bias on Premier League players. So they're usually the most picked. I think David Raya is the third most picked keeper in the game, and he's not even going to start. So you can see the kind of bias there. And I think I was surprised to see the midfielders for England being so lowly owned. So Rice is 7 million. He's only 6.3% owned. Anderson is 6.5 million, 1.3% owned. Saka, 9.5 million, only 6.4% owned, which I was quite surprised at. I've put Rodgers to start in the middle, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So we will talk about all the others apart from him in a second. And then I've got Rashford on the left, who's 7.5 million, 2.1% owned. There is a chance that it's not Rashford. It could be Gordon, for instance. Now he's signing for Barcelona. But it could be Gordon. Can't wait for them two to talk to each other when they get to camp. But if we talk about Rice and Anderson first. So Rice, we've already spoken about his delivery. Ridiculously good at set pieces. He'll be on most of them for England as well, especially the corners and longer free kicks. But there's no real incentive for going for defensive midfielders in this game. Defensive midfielders don't get tackle points. They don't get any DEFCON. They don't get anything like that. It's all about the attack and returns. Rice obviously on free kicks if he takes one and scores when he gets some points there. But him and Anderson, it does feel tough to pick them based on the fact that there's other attacking players. I mean, Rice is 6.3% owned, but Anderson in particular, it seems tough picking those players, doesn't it?
Yeah, Andy, am I right in saying that it is 1 point for every 3 tackles? Again, I could be wrong with that.
Yes, but we don't know whether it's tackles won or just tackles attempted. Tackles won is ridiculously hard to get.
Yeah,
but tackles attempted might be all right.
So yeah, no, we've seen again in FPL since DEFCON now, we actually have some sort of radar in our own minds, how many they might actually get. But like I said, without knowing that, it makes it much harder, to choose. But for me, I still feel like they have their place. Specifically Rice, of course, who's going to be on corners and free kicks, in my opinion. And he does have a phenomenal delivery. I mean, arguably one of the best in the league, and that's why Arsenal have had so much success. I don't think, for me though, with the fixtures that they have, I'd be too intrigued with a Rice or Anderson. I think maybe if the games are a bit easier, that's when you can start to see a bit more chaos in the box for the easier teams, more set pieces. But again, I do feel like they are a bit boring. We're playing World Cup and we can choose between all these players. It's very vanilla, but they definitely have a place in the game for sure.
They do. And I mean, when you're talking about more exciting options, obviously we're talking about those players that are playing behind that amazing Bayern Munich striker, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I've got Saka, Rodgers and Rashford. Now, again, Rashford could easily be Gordon in this. I think it'll probably be Rashford, but I think Gordon could get the nod as well. Saka, you would say, is the most nailed player in this team. Obviously playing on the right wing. He's only 6.4% owned, but he's 9.5 million. Now, when you factor in the fact that Rafinha is 8.2 million, you can maybe start to see why he's so lowly owned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they might have considered, how far England might get in this competition. And I don't know how you feel about, Saka's minutes. Again, he's still coming off the back of an injury, I suppose. Maybe, he has had a bit more game time in the league. But maybe that is a consideration. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of those 3 midfielders in front of me, Saka, Rodgers or Rashford, be subbed off in the 65th minute. I'd actually be surprised if they make it on longer than that with Tuchel. Rodgers, who you have in here instead of Bellingham, who's very, very popular, which I wouldn't be surprised to see. For me, I think I'd have Bellingham in personally, but if Rodgers does get the nod, I mean, we've seen him in the league. He's a very hot and cold player. Right now, he is quite hot. So definitely someone to consider. And if he stays under 5%, and we're looking at these friendlies, he's getting good minutes. Getting in the team ahead of Morgan Gibbs-White, he's definitely a consideration.
Yeah, I know. I mean, when we look at it, by the way, it should be worth mentioning as well that Saka, obviously, his season hasn't finished yet, or Rice. So obviously, they've got the Champions League final that they've got to play in yet. Rodgers, I've put Rodgers in here because everything I've read and everything I've heard is that Tuchel's not a massive fan of Bellingham in terms of everything he brings with him. Obviously, he's a superstar. He's world-class. He's one of the only truly world-class players you would say play for England. There's a few, but he is one of them. How much would you be willing to bet that it is Bellingham that starts that first one? Would you like to see the two friendlies first and see what happens with minutes, starting lineups and things? Because I think it's really close between them.
I think I have it like 55-45 Bellingham. And maybe it is because of the name, like you said, absolute superstar. And he does carry a lot with him. But I hope it is Rodgers. I mean, he's an absolutely brilliant presser as well. And he's having a good season, like I said, where Bellingham has been a bit more stop-start. Rashford, who you said, Andy, I feel like he's another one that does definitely appeal. Had a great season at Barcelona. And he is competing with Gordon, who has taken Rashford's place, which, like you said, it's mad. It's absolutely mental. I'm surprised they didn't just pull the trigger with Rashford. But yeah, again, if he's getting starts, I still don't think I'd go there because I'd expect him always to be subbed off. But if we start to see consistent, maybe 75 minutes, it's definitely not bad with under 5% owned.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Bellingham, because this is always going to happen because he generates conversations. But if Bellingham started the two friendlies and it looked like he was going to start that first game, how much do you try and get him? He's only around 8% owned at the moment. And I'm assuming that's because people aren't sure whether he's going to start. But how much should you be trying to get him into your team if he's sure to start that first game?
I don't think I would be overly mad on getting Bellingham personally. Like, again, I prefer a certain striker if I am going to go for, an attacking player for England. But definitely has his place. For me, though, I just don't think, because I definitely see some sort of rotation. Even if he does get 2 starts in the friendlies and the start in match day 1, I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of rotation with the, like you said, 5-day turnarounds.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I don't know. I'm more than happy to eat my words if it's not Rodgers. Obviously I need to see the friendlies first, but I got every reason to think that it's going to be Rodgers. But we will wait and see. Obviously, the big game is the Panama game, isn't it? In terms of attacking returns, you would hope. But we'll get to those fixtures in a minute. And then I wonder who I've put as up front for England. Oh, there he is. That man, Harry Kane. 10.5 million, rightly so. 42.5% owned. So he is almost owned by 1 in 2 managers in the game. Obviously, I think the only one that rivals him is Mbappe at the moment. And as I've said, rightly so, unbelievable season with Bayern Munich. Chai's already mentioned there that he should be in the Ballon d'Or conversation. He's going for Messi's record in terms of scoring 66 in a calendar year, whatever it is, and there's every chance he gets that. He is England's talisman, the penalty taker. Talk us through Kane, mate, because there are still 58% of people do not own him.
And you know what it is with Kane? Like, I've actually looked at quite a lot of teams on social media, and he's actually not been in a lot of teams because people are opting towards attacking match day 1 and match day 2. And from an attacking point of view, England 1.67 expected goals on the first day and 2.19 in the second, which is quite high. But yeah, no, it's definitely, for me, it really came down to the quality of the player, regardless of the goal scoring odds. And for me, Kane does absolutely everything. Again, you don't get points for being the best player on the pitch, of course, but I feel like you could have a big tournament pendant. I think he's been phenomenal, like we said. And for me, I don't have a problem with going with him on match day 1, even if it is the strategy of attacking match day 1 and 2.
I genuinely, this is one of the conversations I wanted to bring up with you about Kane, is there's going to be a lot of English people obviously play this game. So Kane's always going to be popular anyway, and he is just a mercurial striker. But should we be starting the game with Kane, where what you just said is exactly right? In that first game, we're not expected to score that many goals compared to, say, an Oyarzabal or an Mbappe or whoever it is, who some of those games could be cricket scores. Like, they genuinely could be, like Havertz even, in their first game. Is it sensible to start with Kane, or is it that most people are starting with him thinking, well, I just don't need to get rid of him then? He plays 90 minutes, he's going to be on penalties, unless there's rotation in the third game, you're going to get that third game as well. Is it just that people are putting him in there because they don't want to then have to worry about it, or is there an option that says maybe we shouldn't be going for him?
Yeah, it does make it really difficult. Like you said, Germany, if Kai Havertz starts these friendlies, 4 expected goals, we've never seen anything like that before.
Honestly, some of these numbers.
Yeah, the highest of the game week. And like you said, even Spain, 3.27. and Haaland 2.42 expected goals for Norway. It makes it really, really difficult, and that is for sure. And like you said, I think we could see some 7-0s throughout this tournament. Like I genuinely wouldn't be surprised with the caliber of these teams going against some of the lower ones. There is a big discrepancy. I think what you said is right though. Like it really depends on your strategy. If you want to hold Kane through match day 2 and 3, well then you're on a completely different strategy because like we said, the Panama one is the one to target, and a lot of people may be bringing him in that week.
Yeah, and it's match day 3 is always a nightmare, isn't it? Because if England win against Croatia and they win against Ghana, they'll rest everybody. It'll be Ollie Watkins up top for Panama, won't it? But if people, wildcard in game week in match day 3, I suppose Watkins is the go-to person.
Yeah, it's a hard spot to be in for sure, and maybe that's even more reason to opt for no Kane. Again, I do feel like I can understand why you'd go with Haaland and Mbappe over Kane for sure. But as a Tottenham boy, of course, it's hard for me not to include him.
It is. I mean, as an England fan, if I don't include him and we go off against Croatia and I don't own him, I mean, I suppose the other question is, if you own Kane, can you own any of the other midfielders? Because if you own Kane and Saka, that is 20 million of your 100 million budget. That's a fifth of your budget on those two. If you own Kane, can you go for any of the other midfielders, do you think?
No, I don't think so, because it's hard as it is to even choose a midfielder. I think you'd have to be a really big England fan to have more than 2, I'd say. Look, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if you want to go with maybe an Anderson who's under 1.3, and I think Kane is sorry, I was just checking if he gets any points for chances created. He doesn't.
No, but he gets it for shots on target.
Exactly, he does love a shot on target, and he's on forced penalties.
Yeah.
So, I can't see too many teams with more than 2 England players, never mind 2 England midfielders / attackers. But Kane is going to be a debate until the final day for me.
Yeah, no, it's only just doing this stream now, and I'm just thinking some of those other strikers with some of those fixtures, like you said, 4 goals predicted for Germany, wasn't it? You said, yeah. I just don't see those numbers, do you? Right, in terms of rotation, then. So having a look at these players, who do you worry about the most in terms of are they really going to be in this 11, or are they only really going to reach 60 most games?
I think James for sure is definitely a 60-ish minute man. I think Royce and Anderson, you can be the most certain that they're going to start and get really good minutes. Again, you might have a different opinion of that, Andy.
No,
a bit
agree.
less in tune with England and taking it from the quality of player from what I've seen in the Prem, of course. And of course, Rashford and Rodgers, we don't know what type of minutes they're going to get or starts even. And you won't be too surprised to see him get rotated. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. I think that kind of engine room, and then at the back, I think Konsa, Gahey, Rice, Anderson and Kane are completely nailed in the team. But then it's everybody behind it. I think you're right with Saka. I think he does get protected at times, take him off, because what's the point of having a Saka that's playing 90 minutes and then you don't get him for the rest of the tournament? So I completely agree with you there as well. I think anybody behind Kane is in risk of either losing minutes. I mean, Saka's going to start every game, but he's in risk of getting, rotated a bit during the game. But yeah, I think Rice and Anderson are the 90-minute men 100%. Right, rising star time. So who is your player from the England squad you think could really make their mark on this tournament? Think Lamine Yamal, 2 years ago. What's it going to be like? Which England player could that happen to this year?
Yeah, it's boring, Andy, but it has to be O'Reilly. I mean, coming from an FPL point of view, and unless you're not playing FPL, you probably don't know too much about O'Reilly, but he is just ridiculous for his age as well. I think another one, if we're talking, a bit older, I think he's 23 now, Anderson, he could have a big tournament again. He's been amazing this season. I say that, and Forest, haven't done overly great, but as a player, he's going to go to one of the bigger teams, and I think he's definitely capable of having a massive tournament.
No, I like that. Do you know why I like those two names? Because 2 years ago at the Euros, you would have never said that O'Reilly and Anderson were nailed on starters in this team. And look at them now. I absolutely love football for that sometimes. Right, talk us through some of these fixtures then, because obviously we've got Croatia first, then we got Ghana second, we got Panama third. In terms of when to get these England players in, when do you think is the entry point? When do you think, yes, this is exactly when you should be getting these England players in, or tripling up on them potentially.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot to consider. You know, what happens in the first two fixtures to consider for Panama. Can you just go with him from the start? I think for me the answer is yes. I think you can go with a Kane from the start, and I think you can equally go with an O'Reilly or Consa from the start if we are sure on their minutes. And I don't think we're ever going to be sure on anyone's minutes, but if we do see what we want to see in these friendlies, I'm overly bullish on England. Like I said, I'm actually quite confident that they'll do well in this tournament. Whether or not they're going to win it or not is another conversation to have, but I have absolutely no issue with having some of the England boys in. And to answer your question, Annie, I think I'm happy to have Kane from match day 1 and 2 and see what happens come match day 3. If I need to wildcard him out, happy days.
No, fair enough. And remember as well, it says it in little text at the bottom there. It does say it's coming home, so you don't have to worry. Had to get that in somewhere on the England stream. Talk us through your top 3 then. So if I start off at number 3, so who is your third favourite choice from the England squad?
If you're to tell me right now that Cons is going to be starting, if he stays under 5%, I'm going to put him third.
Oh, I did not expect you to say Conser. I like it. Does that under 5% thing make a big difference to you when you're picking your team, do you think?
Absolutely, for me. I think especially for goalkeepers, you know, like if a goalkeeper is getting a clean sheet and he's under 5%, he's automatically getting how many points?
9 points.
9 points, excluding bonus or whatever.
No bonus, remember, in this game.
No bonus, sorry. And what's his name? And Conser, for example, like normally he'd never get anything for Villa. You know, he is a 6-pointer not, and usually it is not for Villa. But this time around, I do feel like if he's getting a +2, it's definitely something to consider, and a good price point, like I said.
Yeah, I agree. I think most teams are going to have 6 to 8 players under 5% because they're going to want those extra 2 points. Who's number 2 then? Who's number 2 for your team?
Yeah, for me, O'Reilly. Like I said, expecting a big tournament from. We'll need to see what comes from Tommy Tuchel. But good price point. Expect him to start. Picked up a lot of experience this season, and again, we'll need to see what positions he's utilised in.
Yeah. 2 defenders so far, which I've already said it kind of sums up England from the last couple of tournaments. I wonder who your number 1 pick is.
Yeah, big Harry Kane. I expect him to win the Ballon d'Or if England do bring it home. Again, do you think you can bring it home, Andy? I think it's, you know, this is an absolute. I know every season and every tournament we say it's a massive tournament, but I just feel like this time around with Tuchel, Kane in the form of his life. Do you think you have the capacity to bring it home this time?
I do worry, and do you know why I worry? Who was it he missed the pen against? Was it the World Cup or the Euros? I can't remember which one it was now. You would back him to score 10 out of 10 penalties, wouldn't you? But was it against France? I can't remember who it was now. It was against France, yeah. Yeah, but I just look at it and just think, for a player that scores as many goals as he does, who is probably the most natural goal scorer we've had for England for years, like, you know, he's a better natural goal scorer than Rooney was. And I just look at it and think, in that crunch game, in that clutch moment, if he gets a penalty against, say, Brazil in the quarters, is he going to slot it away? And I just the fact that I've got that doubt in my head means, I don't know, is he the one? I don't know. If he gets chances, you don't have to think about it. I think we're absolutely fine. But in that clutch moment, can he do it?
I don't know. I think confidence is a bit different when you're playing for Spurs or winning titles with Bayern Munich.
What do you mean?
For me personally,
what do you mean?
I think it could put him over the edge this time around. I think it will come seamless. And look, I hope he has a great tournament. I have no doubt he will, actually.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And fingers crossed, England do quite well, but obviously we've been known to not win anything for about 50 years. Right, thank you so much, Chai, for that. Obviously, it's been great talking to you about England. We're also going to be talking about Portugal at some point as well, so make sure you catch that if you enjoyed this stream. I hope you enjoyed yourself today, Chai, talking about England and getting to make, not your debut on Scout, but your debut chatting to me. It's been lovely.
Yeah, no, it's been an absolute pleasure, Andy, of course. And interesting that they had an Irish fella on with England. It was good to ground the English fans, even though I think you're going to do really well.
Honestly.
Of course, with the FPL, we're well in tune.
Hibbo wouldn't even come on. He was like, I'm not coming on. So you've got more metal than he does. Fair play to you. But no, thank you so much, mate. And thank you for all the people that are watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. We've got about 20 different videos coming out before the World Cup. So you are going to be completely covered if you are a Scout member, even if you're not a Scout member, because all these videos are free. But make sure you go on and have a look at all the articles as well, because they are genuinely fantastic and they will get you ready for the World Cup. You got a money league with your mates, you're going to be the ones that are clued up, picking all the right players, making sure you're not picking David Raya in your team. Right, thank you so much. We'll be seeing you all again soon. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.